This is the Momentum Podcast.
I wanted to jump in and share a subject that I think is truly vitally important for entrepreneurs, especially if you are in the position where you're growing a business with a team. So the title of this video is, or this podcast is how to get out of 5-figure business habits. And I want to focus on one of the most challenging 5-figure business habits that we have as entrepreneurs.
I'm Alex Charfen, and this is the Momentum Podcast, made for empire builders, game changers, trailblazers, shot takers, record breakers, world makers, and creators of all kinds. Those among us who can't turn it off and don't know why anyone would want to. We challenge complacency, destroy apathy, and we are obsessed with creating momentum so we can roll over bureaucracy and make our greatest contribution. Sure, we pay attention to their rules, but only so that we can bend them, break them, then rewrite them around our own will. We don't accept our destiny, we define it. We don't understand defeat because you only lose if you stop, and we don't know how. While the rest of the world strives for average and clings desperately to the status quo, we are the minority, the few, who are willing to hallucinate there could be a better future. And instead of just daydreaming of what could be, we endure the vulnerability and exposure it takes to make it real. We are the evolutionary hunters, clearly the most important people in the world, because entrepreneurs are the only source of consistent, positive human evolution, and we always will be.
So first, let me explain this perspective. When I say I want you to get out of 5-figure business habits, here's what I mean. There are things that we do, or there are tendencies that we have when we're growing our 5-figure business, when we're getting to 10 or 20 or 30 or 100,000 or 70, 80, 90, 100 or $90,000 on our way to 100,000, on our way to that 6-figure business. There are habits we have, there are things that we do, there's ways that we treat decisions that are appropriate for a 5-figure business. But once we start actually growing a company, the most important thing we do as entrepreneurs is we, as the entrepreneur in charge, change our behaviors, change our tactics, change our habits to help the business grow. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I want to start with a story. So at our last event, I was in, we had one of our group discussions. We had over 100 people. Actually, I think we had over 200 people at that event, where we were talking about planning, and we were talking about our planning process. And so I'll share it with you. If you've heard other podcasts of mine, you probably heard what we call the Charfen process. It is a planning process. First, you analyze all the options you have available. Then you prioritize those options. Then you commit to an actual strategic plan. Then you execute that plan. And then you renew by gathering up the data, seeing what happened, and then going back to the beginning, and you analyze, prioritize, commit, execute, and renew again. And in our program, we have these planning periods where in every 90 days, you plan the larger projects, projects you're going to execute in your company, people you're going to hire, promote, or change their position, the policies you're going to document and get in place so everybody follows them, or the processes you're going to document, improve, and make better. So on a quarterly basis, you people, process, projects, and policies. And then every month in our system, you create what you are actually going to execute. We call it the waterfall. It's the 1-month strategic plan. And so in our last event, we had the question, and this question comes up all the time. It wasn't just this person. In fact, when we talk about planning the way that we do, here's the question we always get. It was something like, so Alex, what if I go through the process with my team, we do the analysis, we do the prioritization, we commit to the plan, and we're in that execution period. And then what if I go to an event and I see a project that we just have to do, and I come back to my team? How do I tell my team that we have to do that project right now? Sorry, I have to plug my computer in. How do I tell my team that we have to execute that project right now? How do I do that? What do I do? How do I shift the waterfall? How do I shift this strategic plan and still keep everybody with me? And my answer was pretty direct. I said, I wouldn't suggest you do that because that's a 5-figure business habit and you're a 7-figure business owner. And I'm not going to share the person who was in the event because it was behind the scenes, but she was like, oh, that hurt. Did you just say I have 5-figure business habits? And I said, yes, absolutely. I want you to understand something. If you go through the process of analysis with your team, and then prioritization with your team, and you commit to a plan, and then you come in and change it, that is a 5-figure business habit that you are running and the person who was asking was running a multi-million-dollar business. I think at the time she was up at around several $1,000,000. And here she is asking, what if I want to change things at the last minute? And so here's what I explained to her. Here's what happens when you do that. See, when you establish a plan and when you establish your business, the way you create a successful business, once it's up and running, once you're past that 6-figure range, once you start hiring a team, once you actually have an empire, an organization, here's what happens. The way that you grow that business is by consistently predicting the future. And here's what I mean by that. You get together with your team, you analyze what all the possibilities that you have, all the things you could do. Then you prioritize what you will do. Then you commit to a strategic plan. Then you execute. And in that execution process, you actually do everything you said you were going to do. That is predicting the future. Consistently predicting the future is how your business is going to grow. Now, when you jump into the middle of that process with a new project, here's what happens. When you create a plan, you allow your team to execute the plan, and then you assess, you can plan again, you know where you stand. When you create a plan, here's what happens. When you allow your team to execute the plan, you create trust, you create consistency, you increase the pace of growth in your business, and you create more perspective month over month as to what your team, what your company is capable of. Now, on that other hand, when you change your plan in the moment, I took some notes this morning because I want to make sure I shared exactly what really happens. And this is what we see with we work with hundreds of companies and have worked with thousands of companies. And what we see when an entrepreneur changes the plan at the last minute, here's what happens. The person you contradict the most is yourself. Let that sink in. If you work with your team to analyze all the possibilities, you prioritize, you create a strategic plan, you're in the execution process, and you come in and say, hey guys, I just went to an event. I call this shooting all over your team. I just went to an event, and here's what we should do right now. And here's what happens. First, you completely contradict yourself as a leader. And it's incredibly damaging, far more damaging than we understand as entrepreneurs. Because see, our team is looking at us and saying, can I trust this person as a leader? Can I trust this person to follow them? Can I trust this person to work for them? Can I trust this person to put all my effort, my energy, my time, my focus into this business, into this, the vision that this person sees? And if that feels weighty, if that feels like pressure, that's exactly what I mean it to be. I want you to feel the pressure of your team working with you and your team feeling like you've contradicted yourself, like you're being incongruent as to what you told them you wanted. That's the first thing that happens when you change an established plan. Now, there's this cascade of effects that comes afterwards. You've broken trust. So now you have created a lack of trust between you and your team. You damaged the work product. We talk to team members in our business all the time. Like I've had a lot, especially as a coach and a consultant, I've had a lot of exposure to team member conversations. And here's a conversation I've heard over and over again in my career. I was working on this project for the last 4 weeks. I put a ton of time into it, a ton of energy into it. I was excited about seeing it get done. And then we canceled it because we're doing something else because my CEO just went to an event. And when you talk to somebody who's in that situation, it is excruciating because here's what that person now rightfully believes about what's going on in the business. They rightfully believe that what they were doing is not important. They rightfully believe that you as the CEO had them investing their time, effort, energy, and focus in something that you're not even going to use. They rightfully believe that their work product has been thrown away or set aside or it's not important. They rightfully believe there's no consistency and they rightfully start to believe they can't trust you. And when your team starts to lack trust in you as the CEO, it feels like you're running through molasses every day. Like, get that visual. I share that with my daughters. Like, I tell them, if you're not hydrated, you feel like you're running through molasses. And if you're not doing the right things in your life, you start feeling like you're running through molasses. Well, if you break trust with your team, you start feeling like you're running through molasses because here's what happens. When you break trust, they're like, hey, are you sure about this? Is this really what you want me to do? Do I need to ask you more questions? Do I need to get more information? They're tentative. They hold back. They don't strike out and do things. They feel like they're under threat if they make a mistake or do something wrong. So when you break trust with your team, you actually de-leverage every person on your team. And so anything they were capable of doing prior to that, now that you've broken trust, they're going to do less. So here's how you do this right. Here's how you never use a 5-figure business habit of walking into an established business, multi-million-dollar company with a team and say, hey, we're doing this right now. Instead, here's what you do. You use natural planning cycles. You use that analyze, prioritize, commit, execute, and renew. If you go to an event and you have this incredible idea and it has to happen and you know it's going to be great for the company, wait until the next analysis cycle. In our system, that would be in 30 days. And in 30 days, you then add the new thing you want to do into the analysis. And when you get into prioritization, you say, hey, we're prioritizing, is this new thing the most important thing we can do? And here's what happens to me often. And this is this is why I use this system for myself. In fact, I'll be super candid. And Danny, thank you. I'll be super candid. The systems I create to help other business owners, the person that they help the most is me, because I am that guy. I am the should manager. I am the go to an event, come back, let's change everything. Let's do this now. Let's make this happen. I have very little concept of time or space. And I have a hard time with calendars. I have a hard time with planning. When somebody says, hey, when do you want this done? My answer is always the same. Right now, like all at once, right away. What do you mean, when do you want this done? Let's just get it done. Let's do it. And so I have the tendencies I have are the same tendencies a lot of visionary entrepreneurs have. We don't understand time. We don't understand space. We don't understand like a lot of those things. And so when we come in and we completely shift our team, they feel the pain of that shift. So the reason I use my systems is because I want my team not to be deleveraged. I actually want to get as much as I possibly can in the investment that I have in my team. And here's what I know. If they're getting me as much as they possibly can, they're in momentum. They're excited about what they're doing. And when we as human beings get into momentum, we learn more, we develop more, we evolve at a faster pace, we solve problems better. I want every person on my team in momentum. That's why I don't anymore ever change outcomes unless it's in one of our natural planning cycles. So if I have a new idea, I wait until the next 30 days, usually until the next 90 days, especially if it's a project. Then I pitch that project to my team, we discuss it, and then we look at everything we have available. And you know what often happens? We go forward with my project. You know what happens just as often? We decide the project that I proposed wasn't as important as everything else we're doing. And when I can sit down with my team, with my leadership team, see everything we're focusing on, understand what future that is going to create, I often see that this thing that I thought was so crucially important can wait a quarter or can wait a month or maybe a quarter or maybe even longer. So getting out of 5-figure business habits will help you grow your team like crazy if you're past 5 figures. Now, if you're still in the beginning stages and you go to an event and you see something that you know is going to change the business dramatically and you know it's going to get you to 10 or 20 or 30 or $40,000 that first time, that's different. In the beginning, it's okay to experiment. It's okay to add something to the business right away. I wouldn't recommend that being your entire business strategy. Even at the beginning, I think you should follow a plan. But once you get to the point where you have a team and there's people around you, here's the reality of being an entrepreneur. And not a lot of coaches, consultants talk about this. Once you have a team, your ability to grow your business will be directly equivalent to your ability to lead your team. And so you want to build trust with your team. You want consistency with your team. You want them to see you as somebody who should be leading them. You want them to be excited about the work that they're doing with you. You want them to feel like they're engaged and they are leveraged and they're making things happen and they're changing the world with you on your team. And the way we do this is by creating consistency, by creating trust, by making sure that our team knows we have analyzed, prioritized, committed, we are executing like crazy, and then we're going to renew. When we start to predict the future with our team, we get more out of every single team member we have. So if you are still adding things at the last minute and you have a team, let go of that 5-figure business habit and watch your business grow like crazy, maybe even to the 7 figures or multiple 7 figures. We've had some pretty incredible explosive growth in our membership this year, even in a crisis year, even in like the year after a crisis year, I guess. It has been incredible. And the reason that the members we have are growing as fast as they are is they have let go of those 5-figure business habits and they are exploding the growth of their business because they are creating consistency, trust, predicting the future with their team, and every person is leveraged. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for sharing this moment from Sedona with me. I'm going to go back out there and look at the Red Rocks before I jump on my next call. We are on a month-long road trip. So this is one of the days when I'm actually working most of the day. I'll be off in a few hours, and then we're going to go explore some more of this incredible city with my family. And if you want some help with what I was just talking about, and you're interested in growing your business consistently and being able to predict the future, go to billionairecode.com. The Billionaire Code is one of our most popular frameworks. I always joke with people, it's our most stolen framework. It would be funny if it really wasn't. But the Billionaire Code is the 9-level framework that shows you what you have to do to go from startup to $100 million business and everything that changes along the way. So if you go to billionairecode.com, here's what you can do. 1, you can download the Billionaire Code and the Billionaire Code Decoded ebook so you know exactly where you are on the path to entrepreneurial success. 2, not only will you know where you are, you'll know what's coming next and what you should have already covered as far as checking the boxes and getting things done in order to grow consistently as an entrepreneur. And 3, when you go to billionairecode.com, you don't just get the ebook. You don't just know exactly where you are on the Billionaire Code. You also can set up a call with a member of my team so that we can explain to you the programs we have and how we might be able to help you. So go to billionairecode.com, submit your information, set up a call with my team. We'd love to be able to help you. And remember, if you're ready to grow your business, the most important element of growing your business and getting past those 5-figure habits is you changing behavior, being consistent with your team, building trust, and growing like crazy. Go to billionairecode.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, everybody.